I can't even say hey y'all, just hey Tonya.
Hey, Tracy.
Oh my God, a TNT show.
um,
Hey world. So it's just the two of us, and this is really interesting. It's never just been the two of us, but we're rocking and rolling. Um, and sending love to Sandra, who couldn't record this week. But we're here and we're about to talk GH.
and it has been, I don't know, I'm like, how is your week? Let's say outside of today. Today is, mm, but
Today is a day. Whew,
today's
today is heavy and hard, and um, sending our love to all communities who are impacted by all the things.
mm,
Because it's really difficult. I would say so. I got into it online with a crypto bro and had to like lock my Twitter account for a little bit. So that was fun.
oh wow.
Um, I regret nothing about talking crazy to a crypto bro.
Yeah, because crypto right now is like, I don't know. I'm glad I never really fell into that, and I'm sorry that people who did and are losing a lot. Well, I'm not sorry because it was weird and y'all shouldn't fall for the okey doke. But hey.
Take your monopoly. I feel bad for everyday normal people who were
Mhm.
like, I trust, like, I don't know anything about finance. So you might trust people who like do that work. Like I am firmly like activism and sociology and like so I think about different people who I tap into who have like different levels of expertise.
Mhm.
And so there are real everyday people who are like, oh, these people have this expertise. Let me tap into it. And then they got monopoly money back. So anyway, that was my week. And then also being really happy about Oakland politics. Woo. Because last week we started off very like sad about it. Remember?
Right, because we were concerned that a certain mayor was going to win because the ones that we wanted, well, the one that we wanted was behind for so long. And then because Oakland does ranked choice voting, so there's
Shout
a
out to ranked choice voting.
voting. I can't I can't say those words together really fast. But because of that, and because a tendency for progressives to vote late, like me, I voted hecka late. Those votes were counted and she pulled to a lead. And so now it's like I'm thinking of the song in the Wiz, Can You Feel a Brand New Day?
Hey.
I was like, yes.
We're not
So
gonna sing it and get flagged, but I'm singing it in my head and I'm dancing to it.
okay, because I mean it was amazing, and then yeah, that night, the Friday night, I was out and I indulged in some drinking.
I love that for you. I
Thanks.
love that for you.
Wow.
I am in Milwaukee still, with family. I'm gonna stay here through Thanksgiving, and it's been so interesting because I'm like trying to find the balance between like really loving family time, especially with my little cutie nephew,
Mhm.
who is 2 years old and adorable. He had on this shirt the other day and had like, I was like, oh, who's on your shirt? He's like, TT, it's Nat King Cole. He plays the piano. Like he looked at me like some basic bitch. like I had to
Wow.
just say like I know who Nat King Cole is, young man. The hell? like,
Like, I'm marveling that you know who he is.
but just like so fun. And so he got me sick. And I realized like, oh my God, this is why I was so sick. I think I had RSV or RSV because I'm never around kids. So my
Mhm.
immune system is just trash. I've just been in the house, only masked, only vaxxed. So my immune system was just like trash. So I got sick back to back. So I'm also coming out of that right now, which is why I look like grandma. I have on like a sweater, just like let me put on my glasses. like I can't dress up.
I did just notice you're wearing glasses. 'Cause sometimes you don't. I always assume everybody's wearing glasses. If I don't know, but yeah.
It's because, and so for people who don't know this, because you wouldn't know, because of the time zones, I typically just like live off of my calendar giving me an alarm. And I don't
Mhm.
know if I missed it or didn't go. So I was just like waiting to get ready, like, like throw on some lipstick or something for Sunday shift. And Natalia text, like, I'm in the waiting room. I was like, oops. I was like, well, I guess I'll put on some lip gloss and not take off my glasses because I was just watching Twilight,
Mm.
which is one of the things I do to battle seasonal depression.
I'm sorry you're sick. I didn't know we adults could get RSV or RCV or whatever it is.
RCV, whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, RCV is ranked choice voting. Let's
Yeah.
not talk about it. This is what happens without a third person. We just devolve into this. But you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something else that happened this week that made me mad.
Okay.
You know I don't stand up for men often,
Mhm.
really ever. And so I had been watching Love is Blind,
Oh.
and I was going up for this guy, SK. I was like, oh, he's in this cute little relationship. He was the most mature on the show. What happened? TikTok exposes him as a cheater. And I said, you know what? One thing about me is I don't like to be embarrassed in public. And this man, who I was saying nice things about, embarrassed me in public.
Ooh, big mistake.
I mean, he also embarrassed his girlfriend in public as well, to be clear. But he embarrassed me in public.
Like, yes, the girl got embarrassed, but me.
Me saying nice things about a man? So it really upset me.
I'm upset for you.
Thank you. So do you want to get into the week? I think we'll probably have like a little abridged episode, but you want to get into
Mhm.
the week?
Yeah.
I did little bullet points for the recap. So um, Trina visits Spencer in Pentonville, where she tries to get all of their feelings on the table. They are both hurt, but obviously in love, leading the conversation to end with Spencer walking away from her. I have things to say about that.
Mhm.
Curtis finds out he does not have any of the genetic markers for schizophrenia, which is good, but confused Porsha. Stick a pin in that.
Mhm.
Finn goes to an AA meeting and confides in Alexis. He also comes face to face with Jeff Weber. And now we have two men who have officially taken over Liz's story. Mhm. Jordan is looking for Liz, following her run in with Esme, and Finn didn't even know what happened. Um, Lots of Liz this week, which I enjoyed. Liz is busy at home, about to be a fire starter like her firstborn Cameron, and ends up being bothered by Carly, who maybe tries to be her friend. I don't know what that was about, and give her advice on her parents. It ends with Carly pocketing a picture so Liz can't burn it. Caroline. Mm-mm-mm. Nosy. Um, Continuing Liz's busy week, she also finds out that Nick is holding Esme hostage. She provides her with some medical attention and tricks Esme into revealing that she is faking pregnancy pains to avoid going to Cassadine Island. Shout out to Niz 2.0. Carly discovers that Joss is keeping a shot up, half naked Dex in her dorm room. Brooke meets Nina and talks to Sonny when he gets a call from Carly that she needs antibiotics. Of course, Britt comes through, and of course, Nina is lurking and sees Carly go into the room. And of course, fresh off of being wrong about the last affair, Nina tells Sonny about seeing Britt and Carly. We learn that Holly, in an Anna mask, shot Lucy. Robert honeypots himself out to Holly and finds out that she is working for Victor and has her send feds to the wrong safe house looking for Anna. Speaking of Anna, we get some spy-mantic love in the afternoon. Valentine arranged for Anna to get out of the country, and they get grown before she leaves. Mac is sad about Staple Baby fake not being his kid, and Sam lets Staple Baby know that Scammer recognizes Scammer. Stable Baby alludes to something in Dante's past, which causes Sam to pause Spinelli on trying to open up his juvenile records. Gotta protect bite-sized Bay. I know that's right, Samantha.
Mhm.
As we all know, Gladys has control of Sacha's money and looks like she might be using it to gamble with Selena Wu.
Mm-mm-mm.
Britt's Huntington symptoms become worse. She confides in Austin, and it really illustrates one of the worst fumbles that GH has done in one of their couple histories. There's
Mhm.
absolutely no way we shouldn't have seen Britt and Austin together. Finally, Drew offers to help Willow find her birth parents because he's apparently turning Aurora into 23andMe. But here we are. Leo, obviously super cute.
Mhm.
Michael finds Dex's cell phone and wonders where Dex is. And that's our week.
Um, I know you put in a lot of commentary in your recap, but what was your overall overall impression of the week?
A lot happened. There were some things I liked, some things I didn't like. But overall, like, I mean, I wasn't swept per se, but I wasn't bored. I liked it for the most part. Really sticking out. I liked Liz a lot this week. Shockingly, I've just traditionally not been a Liz fan, and I think it's just really making me remember. Oh, I didn't like her over like ship war stuff. Um, and so letting her be a little sassy and funny really like was good for me, and I enjoyed her and a lot of her scenes this week. What
Yeah,
about
I'm
you?
controversial. I mean, if we're thinking about the overall sweeps month, I'm gonna have to give it to Young and the Restless. I'm sorry.
Oh,
They had like well, I mean, cheating is is a common trope, but it can be, depending on the couples and the situation, it can be really explosive. And
mm-hmm.
um YNR achieved that explosive cheating must see TV. Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. People arguing about it on Twitter. I mean, it was just like
With Devin and Abby, right?
Devon and
I don't even
Abby.
watch this. I don't even watch the show. See, that's why I pronounced it wrong.
Right. And so it was like, oh my God, I can't believe he did. And then it was amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of stuff that I look for in a sweeps month. Now, I mean, the stuff that GH has done, bringing Holly back, I mean, Lucy being shot, I mean, yeah, but it wasn't the same.
Right.
Um, Anna, I mean, being accused of murder, I mean, that's, juicy, but she's now going away. And she's on the run. And so it's like this little blip, but not quite,
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of felt that way about the sweeps month. This week was cool. But again, it didn't blow me away. And the coolest parts were with, I mean, Trina and Vanna, Sprina and Vanna. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those are my overall impressions.
Who was your performances of the week?
I just, Tabiana. And
Always.
it's all, I mean, Monday. Oh my God. Not those. I mean, I went and watched a YouTube um put together a video of all the scenes together, and it was like
Mm.
4 minutes. But it was like the most, I feel, the most engaging 4 minutes of the week for me. Because she came in there, Trina came in there with her heart on her sleeve, vulnerable, wanting to have a conversation. You can see it all in her face and her voice. And, it pulled me in. I wanted to have the answer. And you know what I really appreciated about it? And I'm gonna, tell on myself a little bit. At that age, I would have not had the courage to go up to a man, a guy that I liked, and really kind of put it all on the table and ask him to be honest. And so that's what I really, and I guess young people nowadays do that, maybe. I don't know. But I was just like floored that she came in and said, I want to talk about us. I want to put it all on the table. Why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? All of that. She grilled him, and he apparently, wasn't ready. But she was. And she brought me to tears at some point. Like when she said, it hurt me that you did not think enough of me when I thought so much of you. Oh my God.
Yes. Uh, so good. And when
Like,
she was like, I wanted you by my side. Tatiana did that.
mm-hmm.
Period. Like, I thought she was so good. Like the emotional stakes were
Mm-hmm.
so high, and she delivered. And I think, we often on this podcast have talked about how good Nicolas Chavez is. And that's very
Yeah.
true. He's amazing. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this just really showed that when you Tatiana delivers all the time, but she hasn't really been given this kind of material. And so give her that material, she's going with it. It made me really kind of to think about, because I'm tired of Sprina angst. I just want my babies together, to be clear. So it made me think about how good it's going to be when the paternity stuff happens,
Oh yeah.
because she's about to make it explosive. I mean, such a talent. She's so good. She's so good.
And weaving into her drama with Curtis, and seeing the similarities between what Curtis did to her and what Spencer did to her, just shows that, I mean, it's going to be top of mind, and she's going to feel a lot when the reveal happens. So yeah, performer of the week, tops, Tabiana.
Yeah.
um and like Nicholas Chavez, but I think I think the performance was great for him, for allowing her to be the lead and the shine on this, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of reacting, even though I kind of felt like he was, I mean, but he's like a typical young man at that time, where just really just not, when confronted with real feelings, it's hard. I mean, he, and I wanted to smack him a couple of times, especially when he was like, I
Absolutely.
didn't think you cared. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't think? She testified in court that she was in love with you. What the hell? I mean, in front of everybody.
And I will say that I mean, this is not the spot, but since we're doing just a TNT show, we'll say whatever we feel like it.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with the Sprina scenes because I just feel like they act like other scenes, like the writers, not the actors are phenomenal. Like, this is not anything about the actors. This is about the way the story is like progressing. And so I feel like they do this thing where it's like, we already have established some of this. We have established that these are two people who care about each other. They've established in open court that they were in love with each other. So why is it that we have to like beat around the bush? I appreciate her going and talking about her feelings and how she was hurt. That was right. But this idea from either of them that they didn't know that the other one cared about them, we're not at that point anymore. You both know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, oh, what was in the letter? Girl, you know what was in the
You
letter? That boy
know,
loves you.
yeah.
Like, and him, you know what happened. She loves you. So like so that was like frustrating for me. I also just like really miss the Sprina tenderness. Like, you
Mhm.
remember I was talking about like the tenderness that we got in the hospital scenes where
Right.
like she touched his arm and they were talking, and like even just like the comfortableness of them sitting next to each other, like one of them eating chips and one of them, like, that's the kind of stuff I'm ready to see from them. because we've actually progressed past some of this, like, there needs to be external angst because we've already progressed past what the writers are trying to make us think is the external angst. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and I love them, so it's not. I'm just like ready for them to progress past the stuff that we already know.
And I'm ready for him to get out of jail because again,
Yes.
I mean, I was like last week, the previews where she comes in and he walks in, he was clean shaven. And then on Monday, so it tells you the editing around it, right? But on
Mm.
Monday, his struggle stash was back. And I was just like, I'm okay with him being clean shaven. We can get to the fact that yeah, he's being bullied in jail or people don't like him, whatever. That don't mean he has to have a struggle stash. He did not have it on Friday, but he has it back on Monday. I didn't appreciate that. So I'm like, I want clean shaven Spencer back, and you need to get him out of jail. I think it's been 3 months in my
It's
mind.
been 3 months for me.
Right. So,
And 3 months in my heart.
right. So that's enough. Take him, get him back home. He's obviously learned his lesson. We had in real life, we had a judge go and testify to get a man off of death row. It can happen. You can have a judge come back in GH and say, you know what? I feel like you learned your lesson. You can come.
It's
you
time.
know,
It's time. You know,
yes.
the other thing for me that is like really interesting is I was like thinking about this. It was gonna be in like a hot take, but we're all over the place, so it's fine. But I've never shipped a couple the way I ship Sprina. And I
Mhm.
say that because I like both of the characters. And I like them independent from each other, and then they put them together. So like I like Baby Spencer. I like Nicolas Chavez's version of Spencer. And then I obviously like love Trina, right? Like because she's Trina and she's like all of these things that we've never had before, especially with investments, like the way the show invests in her and lets you know that she is like a main heroine. And so I've never shipped a couple where I love both of the characters. I have shipped couples where I've liked one or I started liking them because of the couple, but never because they came together, never before they came together. So like with J Sam, like I loved Sam, and like a byproduct of that was like liking Jason. But when they weren't together, I kind of didn't have a use for Jason, to be honest. Or I mean, everybody who knows me knows I'm like an old school Joey Pacey person. I was a Pacey fan, and I loved their chemistry. But when Joey wasn't with Pacey, like I didn't really care what she was doing. With Sprina, it's so hard because, like you pointed to, I wanted to smack Spencer. I'm like, why are you talking to my girl this way? But I'm also like, but girl, he love you. Like it's so hard. It's like such a push and pull. I've literally never shipped this way. So if you have shipped this way on YouTube, tell us in the comments what you do because I get so frustrated. I want them to move forward, but I
Mhm.
also am so invested in Trina being like a full and realized character that comes into the relationship. Because like when he walked away from her, I'm like, what you mean? And she's like almost begging him to stay. I was like, no.
Or like, I mean, I guess the reason why he had to go was because the guard was pulling him away, but he could
But
have
he
given
called the guard.
yeah, he could have given some indication like come back or I'll write to you or I'll do something. But he was
Right.
just like goodbye. And you know you're at least you okay, in your role you may have a month left, but you know you're coming back home. And you know there's a possibility that you can get with Trina when you're out of jail. Why are you cutting her off like this?
Yeah.
Rory
Again,
ain't the best person. Rory is not a good man. He's not the best person for her.
she don't
Everybody,
even like him.
she don't like him. She actually came to this jail to talk to you to see what is up with you. She's telling you that she does not think that Rory is the best person for her. That's a big, huge, like, I want you message.
And it was also like,
Just like,
him being like, I called you.
oh, that got me too, because I'm like, you have
Okay.
some nerve.
But like, okay, you realize that this is prison, sweetie. She can't call you back. Her coming to visit you is the callback, actually. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And then you have nerve to be jealous because we have the whole Esme situation. I mean, the fact that you were playing around with somebody else is the reason why you're in this position in the first place. So don't get all salty just because she missed a phone call.
And then I was like, when she said Rory's name, I was like, damn it, Rory's a ruiner, even off screen.
Right.
Such a ruiner.
Ugh.
Yeah, so it was just like hard. I think, they are so good, and it's so hard to not just want them together now and want them telling a story together now and
Mhm.
wanting them in like they are electric together.
Mhm.
And so it's really difficult to like have story play out where they're not together. But even for me as like a Trina fan, it's really difficult for me for her to like see her like I don't know, almost begging him. I
Right.
just
Oh, yeah.
it's the struggle for me. It's
Mhm.
the struggle, but it's a good struggle because they're really good.
Mhm.
They're
That
really
it
good.
is a really good story. And I was thinking about that. I mean, kind of divulging a little bit from the topic, but I was thinking about the top three couples for me. Um,
Mm-hmm,
the Sprina, and for me, Vanna with Sprina and Sante.
mm-hmm.
Another good thing, if we're going to talk about what's working, what really worked for me this week was Sante. I mean, the way that Dante looked Sam, when she just turned around in the chair, his face,
Yeah,
she didn't even show him the surprise, but he was just happy to see her, and you could totally see it. I mean, that was like, I want a man to be excited about me that way.
he was beaming.
He was beaming.
Yeah,
And they didn't even set up the fact that he'd been working all these hours or whatever. He just was, oh my goodness. And
yeah.
I love their scene with, we're about to do something in the interrogation room. That was hilarious. Even though it was just a sandwich. I was like, okay, are they gonna do I was like, are they gonna do something in the
What they
interrogation?
about to do in the
I was like, oh, I love that. I love this their their romance is perfect. And thinking about what you said about shipping a couple of two people that you've liked all the time. I was trying to compare Sprina to Ansante in that way, and I just didn't like Dante up until he became grown man Dante. I didn't really like it because I just thought he was too self righteous and just blah.
Yes,
Just
same.
him and Lulu, I just couldn't stand. But then when he became grown man Dante,
It was
letting
the slick back. It was when
slick
they
back
went
the
down to
hair,
that slick
but it
back.
was also his just his attitude towards Sonny and his attitude towards Michael and all them, and being a sibling, and just and being in this really mature romance. That's when I became in love with him as a
Mm-hmm.
character and Dominic. Honestly, I didn't care about him before. And then Sam, I loved Sam too, but sometimes she got on my nerves, but I love them together as a couple. I just love it. I love seeing them, and I'm also saddened when we don't get to see them together all the time. Um I want them to be in more things together, but I actually like what they're doing with the couple now. They have their own lives, they have their own jobs, but when they come together, they're totally into each other and love
Oh,
each
they're
other.
so cute.
It's amazing.
Well, I will say, as a Sam Stan, my girl has never done wrong for me. I will
Right.
defend everything that she does to the death.
There was a period where she was going a little weird. She was going a little crazy. I hate the fact that it was because she wasn't with Jason. That time where
Oh
she
yeah, that was a little
she
annoying.
saw the little boy get kidnapped, and then she went through this weird phase. I was just
Oh no, I didn't care about that.
yeah.
Elizabeth could have been watching her kids, and then
Well,
she
yeah,
could
that's
have.
true. I didn't care about Elizabeth. I was actually a little bit like, she's getting, getting her back. But it was still, there were some periods where Sam wasn't her strongest in herself. But yeah. But I'm loving her now, loving her with Dante. It's
Yeah.
good.
I've consistently been on Sam's side. And I think that one of the things about me when I side with characters is not that I'm trying to make you see that they were right. I'm just like, and what about it?
That's how I feel about Carly though. So I understand what you're saying.
Oh, you know that's how I feel about Carly.
I'm
Well, what
like,
about it?
yeah, Carly's hella messy, and I'm happy about it. But I'm going to defend her this week because one of the things that didn't work for me, and I will let you speak the longest on this, but basically
Oh,
Nina
okay.
and her busybody self. Now, Nina was being hella busybody. Carly was being busybody too, but I kind of feel like Carly was doing it to kind of help Liz in her weird way. Whereas Nina was just trying to be in everybody's business and cause mess, and I didn't like it. And, and Carly does the same things, and so I will defend her to death when she does it. But I don't like Nina when she's doing it. I don't.
Can I say something that's going to be controversial?
Oh yeah.
I did not hate Busybody Nina this week. That shit cracked me
Woo!
up.
Well, I did.
My problem with Nina is not the actions that she does. My problem is that she tries to cry and fake apologize about the actions that she does. If we got Nina being a busybody and then kind of like cackling in the corner because she did it, I
Yeah.
probably would like the character. I love a messy mess of a character. I grew up on Days of Our Lives and I love me some Sammy Brady. Okay. I love a messy mess of a character. The problem with me for Nina is that it's a constant like she is trying to. I mean, first of all, let me back up and say Sonny and Nina this week. I don't know what or why Sonny is as bad as he is right now. Sonny's whole vibe right now is, sis, what's tea? Like that's basically all he does. Tell me what happened. Okay, but you have to tell me. Bro, you're a mob boss. You should not have to go around begging for the tea. This looks bad. What are you doing?
And he said that he like trusts Brick above all else. And so if Brick is like, you know what, I can't tell you, then that should be enough for you, right? But apparently not. He wants to be in the mess and he wants to catch Carly in the act of doing something wrong or whatever. Mm-mm.
It's like Carly's not even thinking about you. She legitimately is not thinking about you. And you are constantly talking about her. If Sona didn't have Carly, Michael, and Willow to talk about, they wouldn't talk about anything. And it's just this is the thing that's like been frustrating to me about GH is that they have people just do things and then expect no fallout. It's like what you were saying about what happened on YNR, and I only saw like a little bit. I saw like the video of the like actual affair happening, like circulating. But you're saying that there's like fallout, there's like stakes, there are people doing things about it. With like GH, they just have people do wild shit and then try to write around it so that like people forget that that happened. And I'm like, no, I actually didn't forget. Like, I don't care that Nina kept somebody from his family. I'm not a person that would make you like would say this character did a really bad thing, so I hate them forever. That's really not how I operate on soaps. I mean, maybe Esme, but like, but like with what Nina did, it was crazy. So what's next? The problem is that they tried to spin something that was obviously crazy into a love story with like no real earning of the love story along the way. So I don't mind. So like even when she was being a busybody, I thought that was funny. Like
Yeah.
with her lurking in the hallway and being like, Carly, what would Drew think of this? It's like, yeah, that's a mess. And so if she would have went to Sunny, like, let me tell you, instead it was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm so sorry you can't see Wiley. Why can't Sunny see Wiley? Has Sunny ever even tried to see Wiley? It's just,
And I think Michael did say he's not going to keep Wiley away from Sunny.
yeah. Willow said for Sonny to like set up a time with them to come see Wiley, which
Mhm.
I don't think makes sense, but like whatever. It kind of completely undermines what Michael and Willow are saying about wanting uh, Nina away from Wiley, but
Mhm.
they're his parents, so who am I? It just anyway, it just didn't make any sense. And I think that there's another part that of like Nina being like really nosy and not letting conversations happen. So like when Michael and Sonny were talking, you remember like after Brando's memorial, like she like popped back up. It's
Mhm.
like Sonny is actually in the mob. When he's talking to people, he's actually having like real conversation, not conversation that like is, oh, let my girlfriend pop back up. So it's trying to be like homemaker in the middle of everything. So you remember when Dex like was outside coach, she's like, have this hot chocolate. And suddenly he's like, have the hot chocolate because the lady said have hot like, okay, bro. And so the same thing with Brick. You know you started some mess. Sonny went over to like see what the mess was about. And then you came in the middle talking about dinner. Brick is not Sonny's bestie,
Right.
and he's not his coffee house employee. He's his mom employee. They need to be able to have the conversation without you stepping in the middle of it. So it's just like I don't understand the direction of what they're trying to do. I think, like I said, and part of it is because they don't allow Sunny. They're not gonna let him look silly, but they look so silly.
Yeah, I was about to say you're like they're not about to let Sonny look silly. He's looking super silly. I mean, being all up in the business, falling for Nina's, conjecture that Willow was having an affair, wanting to know what Carly and Brooke are doing. I mean, all of that should be above you because you're so in love with Nina right now. But it's not. You're willing to get drawn up in the mess too, and that's what's making you be a less effective mobster. I mean, you should be able, I think he should have recognized right away what Selena was doing with Gladys. But he
Obviously,
felt, I mean, it was very obvious. He should have side eyed that whole interaction and was like, no, Gladys, you shouldn't be talking to Selena at all, especially with you having so much control over this money. No, but he didn't. And so I don't know. I think he's losing his touch, and it's bad, and it's Nina's fault. And I mean,
it's
I'm gonna
Sunny's
be
fault.
petty. It's Nina's fault.
Okay, so flipping to because we did it backwards. So what I think is working, Vanna. Vanna is one of the few things that is like working all the way around. It's taking like really good characters with really great chemistry with really high stakes. So like there is high like we don't want Anna in prison. We like if she's set up, if she goes to prison, like something might happen to her. She's on the run. Even though I pretty much figured that like they weren't at Anna's safe house, I still was like at the edge of my seat, like, oh my God, like Anna and Valentine, what happens if like somebody walks in on them? Like the stakes were high, and that is actually the way all the stories across the board should be told. It shouldn't just be theirs, but that is one of the reasons that Vanna is so riveting. They are like not only with good chemistry, but they're telling a good story together. It was a surprise to me that we saw it because I thought I was like really sad. I thought we had seen the last of Vanna together for a minute. Last week when they said goodbye, so when they said when he showed up this week, I was like, oh my God, this is a surprise. I think it was unspoiled. Um, and yeah, I was like really excited to see them. So seeing them as a couple, like actually working to solve problems in tandem and also trying to make it make sense how Valentine is there, just like really, really works for them. Anna not saying I love you yet, but clearly being in love with this man, having the Cassadine ring around her neck. Oh, just it hurts so good. They're so good together. And it's just it is the like what is it called? The pinnacle of story. It is like what the show should be ascribing for all of their story. It is phenomenal. And Finola is phenomenal. And James Patrick Stewart is phenomenal. Like they're just really doing their thing on a level that nobody can touch. And they're getting a story behind them that nobody can touch. And that's why when we talk about Sprina, this is like a couple that has like amazing chemistry. They pop off the screen, but they're not being written for in a way that's together and giving them that story that they need and that they deserve. Whereas to Vanna, it's finally getting the story that I think they deserve, that like has stakes, that is like pushing us forward, and that it's actually like makes sense because it's connected to other stories. So Holly is back, which Holly is back, like Laura is doing her thing. Like there are so many other people that are working in tandem with their story. It's just, it's perfect. And also, when Laura said that she wasn't close to Valentine, I was like, Laura, yes, you are.
I mean, now, but the reputation is that Valentine supposedly pushed her son, her real son, and killed him. So she's supposed to not like Valentine, but now that they're clearly working together, so I think
Mhm,
that's a front that she's trying to put together. So, yeah, but yeah, I totally agree. One of the highlights is always seeing Vanna together. I'm sad that you know Anna has to go on the run without him. I'm hoping we'll get another surprise where he just pops up because he's keeping an eye on her regardless of whatever she's doing. I love it. I'm so glad that he was able to put the wool over, the state's eyes and even Victor's eyes, and able to get, Anna away. That intrigue, that spy intrigue is great. It's great story. It keeps us riveted. Love it for them. And that's
mhm,
one of the things that it's working for me also this week.
mhm. We get so little love in the afternoon that I appreciate they were like, listen, if
Mhm.
Van is gonna see each other, Van is about to bang, okay? So, like, I don't care what you're talking about. We can have the conversation. We can do all the things. We're gonna play all the beats. But one of those beats is gonna be banging, and like, I love it for them, and I love it for us. So, shout out to JPS. Shout out to Finola. Shout out to Anna Devane always, and Valentine Cassadine for knowing he's with Anna Devane.
Mhm. And he's lucky to be with her. Um, I want to go back to another thing that's working and you had already mentioned before for me. I love seeing Liz being involved in something else besides pushing Reiko down the stairs, because I was just as disappointed in how that story was. I really thought it was gonna be. I mean, we were thinking she was gonna have DID. It was gonna be
Yeah,
great. She's gonna show off her acting chops. It was gonna be awesome. And then it turns out to be something about Finn. And so, ew, I don't even want to have anything to do with the story anymore. And I'm glad that they're moving on to having her be all up involved in horrible Nicholas's plot. And I enjoyed actually having her being part of the plot. I mean, having her um be catching Esme and that lie that her baby was going to die. I loved that. I mean, she pulled the wool over Esme and Nicholas's eyes because she was like, we're gonna have to C-section this baby right here. And I was
go to
like,
the kitchen and give me a knife.
give me a knife. I was like, yes. And then when Esme was just like, you're supposed to help me, she's like, actually, I want to see you have this baby in Pentonville. That's exactly because what you did to my son. So yes, Liz, you were so spot on that. I love having that, having her be involved in other things because I want her to be away from Finn, because Finn is just, he's toxic and he's boring and he's apparently super old because I don't know what it is, because she was just supposed to be a teenager and then it's supposed to be years ago. So I don't understand why she's with that man.
It's just okay. I have said, and I've qualified this time and time again that I've never been a Liz fan, but that's never transferred to the actress. And one of the things for me that makes daytime special is that if somebody who hasn't been watching for a long time turns on the TV, they can look and see somebody who they know involved in a story. So there's going to be like new characters, of course, but they're also like, you can turn around and be like, oh my God, is that Anna Devane? And I think Elizabeth Weber deserves to be a character, and Becky Hurts as an actress deserves to be a actress that people are able to see carrying story that's about her. So we're like coming into or out of her anniversary year. So my thought was that the story was going to be about her, that this was going to be a big anniversary story for her because she hadn't really been on screen. She hadn't really been featured. So this thing is going to be about her. And instead, we get this like addition to Finn's backstory that nobody asked for. And we get her like kind of marred in a like partnership that nobody asked for, that does not pop on screen. They don't have chemistry. And the thing about Elizabeth Weber and Becky Hurt is she be having chemistry. We
She
know what Becky looks like when she's in, or we know what Liz looks like when she's in love, and this
right.
ain't it.
She had chemistry with new Nicholas.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, she did.
just a day, not just, I'm sure, but a day player, and she had all kinds of chemistry with him.
I mean, I just think about like pairings for Liz that shouldn't have worked, but the chemistry has like pulled them through.
Mhm.
Frizz shouldn't have worked. Franco, what?
Mhm.
But the chemistry pulled them through. Lyric, her, Liz and Rick shouldn't have worked, but the chemistry pulled them through. The Nez affair with Tyler, people should have hated it, and and it wasn't until um, JJ's Lucky came back that people
Mhm.
hated it. People didn't care about her cheating on Greg Vaughn's Lucky because there was so much like tied up into his Lucky. The affair with Maxie and the pill addiction and all of that was like all tied up into his Lucky. JJ's Lucky didn't have all of that baggage, but Becky and Tyler's chemistry, fire, fire chemistry. So to
Right.
like have her have to be in this story that like props up Finn. Excuse me. Now I'm angry. I'm coughing. I'm like, props up Finn. It brings back like this deadbeat dad with the worst excuse I've ever heard for being a deadbeat. Nobody asked for this.
Right. And what I'm also enjoying is that how honest Liz and the character of Nicholas, the current version of Nicholas, is. Like, she was pointing out to him all the flaws of his plan,
Yeah,
pointing out to him that, yeah, I am not surprised that you would go and murder Esme because you did it to Hayden. And, all of the things. And I'm loving it. And they still had a connection, they still had chemistry. Even though she wasn't like 100% like, oh, Nicholas, you're awesome. She knows that he's not awesome,
yeah, for sure.
totally flawed.
I mean, that's the thing. These are two characters with a lot of history. And while I don't care for Merciless, there's no reason that like Liz and Nicholas shouldn't have been in more scenes and in more story together. These are two people who actually bring out some of the worst in each other because they will scheme together and bring out like story. You're like, what the hell did y'all just do? And I think that that's interesting. And I think that the other part of it is that is so good for me is I want to know if Cameron and Spencer will find out what they're up to because
That's another
we
reason why
need
Spencer should be out of jail.
right because we need another layer of scheming. We need part of this. It's fun when like our legacy characters find out how messy their parents are. Like you're like, wait a second, what? My mom did what? My dad did what? Like that is like good story. and it helps you bring back past story and like tell it anew. And so there's no reason, like, I mean, that Liz and Nicholas shouldn't have been in some story together. So I did agree with it, or I did enjoy it. What I don't enjoy is this quiet redemption of Esme they're trying to do. It's enough from me. She will not be redeemed. I don't care how many towers you lock her up in.
I mean, I don't feel, I don't know, I don't feel at a point where I think she is being redeemed, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying. I understand that they're probably trying to go for that. I'm still seeing her as incredibly flawed and needing to go to jail as soon as possible.
Hmm.
But I I like it. It's like mixed because I mean Avery Pohl is amazing, and I like how the drama of having Esme around does for other people. But she yeah, she deserves to serve some sort of punishment for all the crimes, and I don't know if they're thinking that her being trapped in a tower is the punishment that she deserves. I'm like, no, because what she did has so many ramifications to it. And I don't even think, I think this may be a way that GH is trying to resolve our feelings about it, but I don't think it does because they haven't adequately addressed what she did and
Hmm.
how that ramifications are being felt not just on Trina but on black women in general. I mean, what she did is a contribution of what society, it mirrors what happens in society. White women blaming black women for stuff that they didn't do and traumatizing them and further traumatizing them. And that needs to be addressed. The fact that she drugged Trina, almost killed her, needs to be addressed.
Could have
Um,
killed her if Trina would have drank that whole drink.
right. Um, you know, framing her for a crime, almost sending her to jail, ruining her life, that needs to be addressed. And I don't think GH is going to do it. I don't think they're brave enough to do it.
They're not
Um,
going to do it.
right.
Because if you think about it, like, so what they're trying to do now for her is have her narrate this pregnancy and like look like a scared teenager and all of that. But they never had, Britt hasn't really answered for anything that she's done. Like the Westbourne women in general. Like,
Mhm.
think about Liesel. Liesel's done wild shit to beloved characters. She did wild shit to Robin, to Anna. She never got called out for brainwashing Dante.
That's right.
Like, so GH has a pattern of trying to like have people do the wildest things possible with no fallout, no consequences, and they're like, okay, let's just move on now because it's not happening anymore. No, I will not be
For
moving
me,
on.
for me, this thing, like I said, because it has rever- reverberations around across, real life, that's why I'm most offended about it. I'm not as offended about Liesel getting away with her crimes, but I am super
Mhm.
offended about Esme because of the impact it has on society and how it reflects society and the fact that they did not address it adequately. That
Agreed.
bothers me.
Hmm. Agreed. Um, yeah, 100% agree. Like, I have nothing else. Um, can I also just say how much I hate Stable Baby? I know that's usually your
Oh,
thing.
thank you. Dude, Cody never works ever. But what were you gonna say before I go off?
No, that's it. I just wanted to say I hate him.
They crossed the line. He crossed the line, obviously, trying to target my man or Sam's man. Sorry. The fact that he was trying to throw Dante under the bus. Now they've been hinting that Dante did something horrible when he was a kid, but that doesn't mean that he could, like, they have, Dante and Sam have been good friends to this man. And he's willing to cause mess in Sam and Dante's relationship so he can get away with, trying to take, some necklace that he's apparently, according to spoilers, probably is not going to get his hands on. So I was just mad. That was just a friend in on a personal level. And then for Sam. And I'm liking the fact that Sam has called him out on his shit.
I
He's
do
just
too.
proven that he's like just a horrible, horrible person and does not deserve love. And I'm glad that Britt has recognized that he's not the person to confide in about her illness,
Agreed.
because I'm so happy, because if he no, I'm not liking him at all. Mm-mm.
Nope. Other things I like this week, I like Britt and Brad scenes, even though they were really short.
Yes.
I've always liked them together. They have such good friendship chemistry. And I think friendships are always underrated on soaps, and we always need more rather than less. Um, oh, Holly, girl, get out of
She's
here.
she's not working for me. I mean, I'm glad that, for Robert, or, to have this story and have Holly, around. I'm glad that he can see that she's up to no good, hopefully, and then he can get her out of his system, because she's up to no good. And I know a lot of people don't like I don't know, some people don't like Robert and Diane together. I like them together. I want to see what happens.
I would have no way of knowing. I'm barely on GH Twitter anymore, so you tell me.
But yeah, a lot of people are like Robert and Holly, Robert and Holly. I'm like, I'm more interested in Robert and Diane. I'm
Holly is a mess every time they bring her back. Like
not
she's just.
familiar with her. I think there was a period of time where I wasn't watching GH when Holly was on, so I'm just like, I don't care about her one way or the other.
Do you remember when the town was like poisoned or like? So she was like one of the people that held back the antidote when Sam's brother died because she was like trying to get money. Like she just like she always kind of comes back scammy. I'm like, why do you keep doing this to her? Like, what is going on?
I did notice, when I looked at some scenes, I saw she had a really cute haircut. I like that for her.
Yeah, I mean, she also killed Courtney, so that's a plus in my book, to be honest.
Okay.
Foolishness kind of killed Courtney, but
I saw on SOD that they had a thumbs down or something, like Sam saying that, "Oh, Holly's an old friend," and they're like, she killed Courtney." So I was like, "Yeah, why is she an old friend of yours?" And like they had never met before, so I was like, "Okay, it's interesting."
weird. Yeah, it's just anyway. Um, what do you think about Joss and Dex?
I think it's very. I mean, it's typical. I thought
Mm,
it was funny though that he was so I guess vulnerable, where he was like, "Oh, you're beautiful," and I thought that was cute. But it's not a very surprising storyline to me. I mean, I think again, typical, oh, I'm in love because I need to help him and he's vulnerable, and now I feel like he's, my a hero, anti-hero, and my family's going to be against it and all this other stuff. I feel like that's a typical kind of story that I've seen before. Um but I'm glad for Eden to have this story. I'm glad that she's get to, display some acting chops in having it. But I'm not like all, oh my god, Dex and Eden, or Dex and Jocelyn,
it's, I mean,
they're nothing. Sprina is still more interesting to me by far.
I mean, it's not even comparable. And part of
Right,
the reason it's not comparable, I mean, there's lots of reasons, but part of the reasons is that I still find Dex to be generic.
right.
Like I do really love the character of Joss. I mean, she's Carly's daughter. Like I like Carly. Like all the things. Um, it's the depth of it all. I'm just like, okay, I guess. Like I like their chemistry. This is clearly like a baby Carly, baby Jason story. Yeah, it's fine. I'm not offended.
Right.
That's
Well,
the
I kind of feel like it's more of a a Lulu Dante type story.
Oh, people also compared it to Liz and Jason.
Mm.
Um, yeah, people also compared it to Liz and Jason. What I loved was Carly's face, like watching it happen. Like,
Yeah, she's like, "Oh my god, she's fallen into the trap that I've done." Oh.
it's like once you get like to a certain age and you have to reflect back on your choices,
Mhm.
but seeing it in your daughter is like, guess I gotta get you these antibiotics because this
Right.
is the same bullshit I'd have been on.
I mean, she even said it. She's like, you're stubborn, just like me. It's just gonna, And she knows there's nothing she can do. She just has to sit and watch it happen and let her deal.
Yeah, I think it's also that that Jex didn't really get the build to make it believable. Like it's just unbelievable to me that she cares about this man enough to like lie to Trina. Like I mean, and part of the lie to Trina, I don't think is like I'm a bad friend, I'm gonna lie to you. It's more like I'm an accomplice and I don't want you to come be an accomplice as well. Um, but it's still just like I don't know. I was Carly. What has this man done that like makes you have this kind of loyalty for him?
Right. And but it's not like he's particularly devastatingly hot. He's
The internet thinks he is. I mean, I'm not into it, but he's not my brand of white boy. But
right.
oh, we also had a Lucky mention. Sorry to jump back.
Oh, that's right.
I was like, my favorite deadbeat. They mentioned him. It took me down a rabbit hole to watching old stuff. I ended up watching I think it was like 2011 when Tyler left the show and he was like saying goodbye to Lucky. And he was like so Nicholas was saying goodbye to Lucky. Why was I over here crying? I was like underneath the blanket because it's cold, because Wisconsin. And I was like watching it and I was like, why is my face wet? Oh, I'm crying at Tyler Christopher and Jonathan Jackson showing us how it's done. And it was like a really funny line where Lucky had asked Nicholas, "Hey, I want to ask real quick, why y'all have an accent?" And then Nicholas like he was like, "How do you know?" And like did an accent, like a Russian accent. It was just like that time period. I feel like GH wasted like Becky, Tyler, and Jonathan because there's so much history between them. And so like the way they told that story just did not honor the history. But the goodbyes did, I think. So
I should watch those.
I'll send you the clip. It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
And it also just reminded me of like what we don't have. That's why people, I think, grapple or like not grapple, people gravitate so much towards like the Spencer Cam friendship or
Mhm.
gravitate so much towards the Joss Trina friendship because they're so good with each other. Um, and we are like longing for like that friendship to put out on the screen. We see it with Felicia and Anna. We just don't see it enough. So like we're told that now Sam and Carly are friends, but okay, let's see Carly then confide in Sam about Drew, right? Like it just it's frustrating.
Yeah. I'm well, I'm gonna switch to I think what there's one thing that it's not working with me a little bit in the story around Lucy is the fact that I don't know what's going on with Lucy. Like I feel like having us not know for a couple weeks is great, but I need to know. Like we know now that Holly was the shooter, but I don't know if she actually was shot. Like, are they blank bullets, or or are they real bullets? And she's really dead. I need to know, just because I don't want Lucy to be dead. But I think they can let the audience in now. I'm hoping that they do it soon.
I'm operating on the assumption that she's just got dead because I can't take that.
Okay. It's making, yeah. I want to convince myself, but I need to see it.
There you
This
go.
is what I need to see. um I think I do want to, yeah, I think I talked about it a little bit. I want to give Selena props for recognizing a good mark when she sees it, and she's proving herself again still to be the better mobster than Sonny. And but I want to see Selena on screen more. I want to know more about her backstory. I want her to have family. I want her to have actually a cute, handsome young nephew that Jocelyn can really go for. Just or Christina or anybody. I mean, I just want to see more of Selena and her family. She's awesome. And yeah, I think that's it for me. Even as far as what's working and what's not working and hot takes.
I know we did mix that.
Mhm.
I was just like laughing at Carly. I was like, Carly, the last time you were in somebody's fireplace, you ended up balled up in a trunk. Go mind your business, girl.
Yes, and it just seemed like a interesting. I mean, it was an interesting scene that they had together, but I don't see the point. Um, yeah, except that I guess maybe they need to fill Carly's screen time quota or Laura Wright's screen time quota, because I didn't see the point of her being involved in this story.
Yeah, because like for me, there's like sometimes there are like times when you intersect stories, and there are sometimes times when you like insert people in stories, and I feel like bringing Liz into Nicholas's story was like a good use of intersection.
Right.
Bringing Carly into Liz's story in that way didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The scene, I mean, I liked their scenes. I think that I enjoy scenes between Becky and Laura. I really loved the scene like following the sex tape when they were like reflecting on their history together and how they treated each other
Hmm.
over the years. I think that it for me it's like starting to like earn relationships and rivalries and things like that, and then moving certain things to the next generation to like take up. So like I'm fine. I don't need people to be friends, but I'm fine with like Carly and Liz and Sam having story, but like working harmoniously amongst each other. And then moving the drama into like Willow and Sasha's generation or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Um, but make it make sense.
Yeah,
And that didn't make sense.
agreed.
So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Um, and then so I have two things. One is like one thing about the week, and then one is like an overall thing about storyline and direction of the show. Is that cool? So the last thing I have as far as hot takes is why is Porsha acting like a genetic screening is the key to whether she should be honest about Trina's paternity?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make any sense to me. And you know I go for Porsha. I'm like, girl, keep lying. We've been lying this long. Ain't no need to stop lying now. Okay. You gotta stay with it. But she's like, yeah, Jordan, like he doesn't have the marker, so it's fine.
Like, no.
That's not Jordan's problem with your lying.
Right. And I love how she answers. She's like, "Oh, that's great news." But it's still you still need to tell Jordan. You still need to tell Curtis the truth. I'm loving Jordan right now and her interaction with Portia, cuz she's like, "That's great. Oh, actually, I didn't come here to talk to you about Curtis. I came here because Esme's on the loose and I thought you should know." I love that. I love her whole interaction being very matter of fact, but at the same time pushing her to tell the truth. Love it.
Yeah, it was really, really funny to me.
Mhm.
And I am loving that Jordan. I do feel like Tanisha is coming into her own as Jordan. I
Mhm.
love her interactions with Portia. I
Mhm.
love her interactions with Anna. I thought it was really special. I did post on our Instagram the scene where it was like Hat Daddy, Porsha, Curtis, and Jordan all in this hospital scene together, and I'm like, wow, these are like four contract role Black characters interacting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Um, yeah, I thought that was really cool. Um, I thought Hat Daddy did a really good job with his stuff. Like, I felt his emotion and him being like really happy that he didn't pass anything off to Curtis. Um, but now I'm also wondering, was he diagnosed wrong?
Yeah, and they gave us a little clue into that. What, because it sounded like Portia was gonna investigate or a little bit or question it a little bit. She had like a little thought, and then she was just like, "Never mind." But
Hmm.
yeah, it sounds like Hat Daddy might not actually have schizophrenia.
Right. So that'd be an interesting backstory for him,
Hmm.
um, to like see how they bring that on. So I'm excited about that. And the last thing I was like really, really thinking about was like the history of villains on the show, and like anti-heroes more so. And so I was thinking about that a lot because John Aniston, aka Victor Kiriakis from Days of Our Lives, passed away. Um, I really enjoy. I started watching Days again. I've probably been watching for maybe the last 2 years again. So I really enjoyed him like holding court, like people just like coming to the Kiriakis mansion to see him. Um, and like he was still kind of ruthless, but not in the ways that he was when I was growing up. And so I was like watching back some of his most like iconic scenes and his reads. I'm like, my God, how many times people call somebody a slut? um, but it also like struck me because I was thinking about it in contrast with GH. Even with like Victor Kiriakis, with Stefano Demira, I don't ever like they never made those people like the moral centers of the show in the same way that they have made Sonny the moral center of General Hospital, and he behaves in a lot of the same ways that these like villains on
Hmm.
other soaps will behave. And I just think that's fascinating. And I wanted to ask you about what you thought about that, especially considering you watch Y&R and B&B.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about a new character that was coming on to YNR. I mean, his name is Tucker McCall, and the phenomenal actor Trevor St. John is playing him.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like him as a villain is because he doesn't pretend to have like a moral center. I mean,
Mm,
he's like scandalous and he enjoys it. He's just like it's totally obvious that he he has like some ulterior motive, and it's not necessarily the best thing to do. And I think and that's what I loved about him and Todd. Both of them were both, kind of owned their, badness in a sense.
mhm.
And there's a certain in Tucker's character, it's almost like he super enjoys it. And I also like that about Victor in a sense too. Like he's
Mhm.
almost like in that same category, and I appreciate them and I respect them as villains more so than I do Sonny, just because Sonny kind of I don't know, he acts a little bit like he's superior, like he's better, and he's not better.
Yeah,
And
because Sonny's
yeah.
not so he's not a villain. He is more of an anti-hero,
Mhm.
but they treat him like a hero, especially more recently. Because I think that before, when we had Jason, Jason was given the heroic stuff. I mean, they gave Sonny the heroic stuff when he was like got out of Pentonville. Remember when he like saved the boat of people, whatever. But for the most part, that stuff was given to Jason. So now that Jason's gone, Sonny has gone from like anti-hero to again like real house husband of Port Charles.
Who hangs people up on meat hooks?
who hangs people up on meat hooks, but I just like am struck by how often he is like basically telling people they have to tell him what happened. Mostly Nina. Like she'll say something like, tell me. You have to tell me. You need to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
You used to be like the Don who sat behind a desk and held court. People used to come to tell you things, or people used to come to give you information. And now you have to like insist that people tell you something. It's such a weird flip of a character. And it also like makes me think about like heroines from other shows, right? Like so if you think about like who is, I think it's a little bit different, especially with GH because like a Jeannie Francis, for example, takes vacation, so she's gone for like parts of the year. Fanola didn't take one this year, but like typically has taken vacation, and so I think that because of that, Carly ends up getting elevated into this like lead role that she might not be if other. Well, I don't know, maybe she would be, but and there's like, but Carly is never gonna be like Deidre Hall or like Marlena Evans. But I don't think I think that's because of the presence of Sonny. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I so it's just interesting to me how this character, the character of Sonny, like has so much reach and impact across like the way the canvas works. And even the kind of women or the kind of female characters who get propped up. Like Carly is able to be who she is and to be such an important character because of the way that Sunny has like transformed the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like such an interesting thing for me to think about, especially as compared to other soaps that I've watched. Um and just like seeing how we talked about Nina, the thing that harms her character the most is like the insincerity that people who don't like her feel. But if we felt like she was doing it to be like a little bit of a villain, I think that like more people would like her. I would. I'd like her more. Because Cynthia, like I don't have a problem with Cynthia Watros.
Right.
Um, but I think because she's with Sunny, they can't allow Sunny to look like a clown who got taken by like a villainous woman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you become Claudia Zakara, and like there's no choice but to like dispose of you. And they're not gonna do that to Cynthia and to Nina. So anyway, that was just something I was thinking about. I was really, really thinking about like the impact of like villains, the anti-heroes, especially in the wake of Days losing such a giant on their show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's all I got.
mm, well,
What about anything else?
nothing that I want to, that I can think of. Any like previews for the? Are we gonna have a short week next week, or is it gonna
It
be?
is. It is only 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I have them for you. So Monday, 21st. Britt gets difficult news. Robert wants answers from Holly. Scott has a warning for Cody. Valentine and Victor come face to face.
Finally.
Finally, Carly lies to Sunny.
About Dex.
It isn't. I mean, I would assume he probably
Yeah.
like charged her up about Brick or whatever. 22nd, Victor gives Holly a task. Brooklyn threatens Link. Carly is thrown by Michael's news. Dante lets some information slip. Sam confides in Alexis. So yay, some Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wednesday, Carly and Nina have it out. Britt opens up to Liesel. Chase is surprised. Brooklyn makes a decision. Valentine and Martin team up. That's interesting in a lot of ways. Um, Valentine and Martin teaming up must mean that Martin finally sees that it wasn't Anna.
Mm-hmm.
which is good finally because he was getting on my nerve with that. Um, not gonna lie, I'm
He
like,
didn't know what he didn't know.
I love me some Martin because I have very deep Tad feelings that Martin gets advantage of, but not over my Anna Devane. I ain't like that. It's like no Martin. Um, and then I believe it was a soap opera digest that Kathleen Getty was talking about these scenes that are coming up with Kelly T, and she said that they were like among some of the most difficult scenes she's ever filmed. So should be headed into a very emotional Wednesday. And I'm interested to see Carly and Nina have it out and
Yeah,
what that means.
I it probably since Carly's gonna lie to Sunny probably about Dex. That means Sunny probably went up to her and was like, "What'd you do with Brick?" And she probably figures that Nina was the one that.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be
And Carly is throwing about Michael's news, making me think it's about Willow.
mhm. Or
Um,
the fact that Willow wants to find her mom.
yeah, yeah. Eek. So the 24th, which is Thanksgiving, we're getting a repeat episode, um, which is Sam and Dante enjoy their first Thanksgiving as a couple. You remember how much I love that episode? It was basically when Drew came back and told them that Jason was dead, and then
Yeah.
Dante banged on Jason's bed. And Sam through the glass against the, she's like, pizza? I ordered turkey burgers. And then she threw the glass, and I loved it. I loved it. So that's happening. um, yeah. Uh, and then Curtis opens up to Porsha. Brooklyn spins a new story for Ned. Olivia tracks down Austin. Finn learns surprising news from Chase. So it's an encore episode from last year at this time. And then on Friday, there's no GH because there will be college football.
Football.
So we have a very, very, very short week.
Well, I hope you enjoy your time with your family.
It's a balance between no, I love them and I've enjoyed them, but like the seasonal depression of it all, it's
Yeah.
like I have a ring light coming so that like next week it won't be so dark in my background. So we'll see what happens.
How long
um,
are you gonna be there? Or through the end of
it'll
December?
be no, not the end. No,
Oh,
I'm coming home.
okay.
I need to get home. So probably second week in December.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we have a short week. I know Sandra can't record. So basically, just so people know, I think that we have planned to record, but if we don't record, there are people who don't see it as much online. Um, you know, we'll try to update as much as we can, but there might be weeks between now and New Year that we don't record. But it doesn't mean we don't really appreciate you as viewers and listeners, and that we are not enjoying GH with you. And
And I don't know how you're feeling about Twitter, but
Elon Musk, man.
catch us on Instagram, YouTube.
I'm gonna try to be more. I'm gonna try to do more updating our Instagram, simply
Yeah.
because like Elon, he just let Trump back on. The servers are so messed up. I'm not really interested in learning a new type Twitter type of app. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm gonna try. My goal for the rest of this year and into next year is really to move us a lot onto Instagram.
I need
Um,
to I need to move a lot onto Instagram. 'Cause so far, I mean, I've only used Instagram just to share photos. I haven't
mhm.
really I don't talk too much on Instagram. So,
Instagram has interesting things. Like there could be times where we like. Oh, is that the thing for the Sprina event?
no, I was put my elbow on my keyboard.
Oh,
But yeah,
because
the
that's happening.
Sprina event.
Yeah. Um, and so yeah, but there's like you could do quizzes and polls and we can
Mhm.
post up videos and talk to people. So like it's it's um more interact people interacting with our content than like us interacting with like
Okay.
whatever. And like we said with Elon Musk running Twitter, who knows what's going on over there? So we are going to try to migrate a lot of our stuff onto Instagram. And it's just GH Sunday Shift on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Tonya, is there anything else for the good of the order?
Watch Andor.
Go see Wakanda Forever. And we will
Yes.
see you soon.
Bye.